We used maths and a supercomputer to make some Premier League predictions. But how well did we do?
Keep watching to find out.
Welcome to the Corridor of Uncertainty, the podcast at the intersection of maths and sport. I'm Jess.
And I'm Rich.
And we're both mathematicians at the University of York, but we probably spend a bit too much time talking about sport, so we thought we'd make a podcast. So, what are we talking about today, Rich?
Well, Jess, a few weeks ago now, we did some Premier League predictions using CoU model. So the Premier League is now done, so we can see how my predictions went over the year. If you want to see how the Coles model works, check out that video. It's it goes into more detail in how the model works. Today, I'm not going to go into that detail. We're going to use that model in an interesting way, probably slightly incorrect way.
Excellent.
In order to look to draw things out for the season. There's going to be tons of Premier League review podcasts now, or videos covering the Premier League season. But, you know, what we talk about on this podcast is maths and sport. So we should take a mathsy look at it.
Okay.
I do want to start, though, with a couple of facts, one of which will blow your mind.
Oh, my.
So, first off is just an interesting one that I think is that Arsenal are the first team in the Premier League era to win the title and have no red cards and no penalties, to give away no penalties.
So no team's had a penalty against them?
So
they've taken penalties, but
they've never, no team has had a penalty against them.
Very disciplined then.
Yeah, very disciplined. So that was probably the...
Okay, it's not the Leeds United way, is it? So maybe they don't need to throw their
I think, if you think back, actually, I was thinking the last season, there was Declan Rice got sent off for that thing with the knocking the ball away.
Yeah.
And that was like crucial or deemed to be crucial. And, this season they've kind of avoided things like that, which is interesting. The fact, though, that will blow your mind is next season is the first season in the history of English football where there will be no team beginning with W in the top flight. That's the first season where this has ever happened.
Wow.
Wickham, West Brom, West Ham obviously going down.
Of course,
Wolves going down as well. There's going to be no team beginning with W in the top flight, which is incredible.
Oh.
We're
a fan of the alphabet metric on this podcast.
100 plus years of English football, there's always been a W team in the top flight. So Wigan, obviously long history.
So West Ham, you've let your letter down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to talk about on this was was like the statistical predictions. So I did these in the international break in early March time. Oh, that's when we got the data. So at the time it gave Arsenal quite a strong chance to win the league. A lot stronger than a lot of people were deeming them to have at that point. A lot of people were kind of talking, they're definitely going to bottle it.
Well, they were saying that right up until 2 games to go. Well, because Arsenal played Man City.
Yes. So,
and at that point, people were still saying, bottles.
What I did was on the BBC after that Arsenal Man City game, when it was Man City at home, they beat Arsenal 2-1. After that game, there was a poll on the BBC website that you could vote in to say who were the title favourites.
Okay, so
and that's what we've got on screen, the result of.
Okay.
So the wisdom of the crowd was that 83% chance of
said Man City.
Man City were definitely going to win the league because of that game, because they've won that game and everybody knows Arsenal will bottle it, and that sort of that became. I don't think that was the proper. You wouldn't say like common wisdom, but it was kind of like a talking point. A lot of people like to mention at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, that didn't turn out to be the case. Man City completely bottled it. No, it's just, Arsenal were already ahead. They had a cushion. They had a comfortable cushion from the start of the year. They managed to finish out the league.
They kept it interesting though, didn't they?
Yes, yeah. But, so a lot of the predictions at that time were strongly in Arsenal's favour and were maybe not reflecting what people kind of understood. But I did predictions, obviously, with the model across the whole league. So each time, giving a percentage of finishing position. So I wanted to see how we did across that whole league. So I've just taken now the shot of all of the predictions we made from that time,
Right.
and then
Okay. Yes, I
marked
remember
up with a
this.
square. So the orange square that's on there is where that team actually finished in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see top 5 were all predicted to be in that position. So they're all the biggest chance of probability is that where they ended up, and the bottom 5 is also the same. So those ends were all set, which is interesting. That
Well,
yeah,
you predicted them
yes, so
correctly. Well done.
well.
So you got 10 bang on. That's
Pretty much
half,
so
right?
Spurs' also most favourite position was in, or most likely position was in 18th,
Yes.
but West Ham were more likely to finish in
Yes.
18th. So that kind of worked in that way. But
I
the
love
rest of
this
them,
plot because Leeds United were safe,
yeah.
and I was really impressed.
And
with your
Leeds actually,
predictions at the time, because it was you basically did say it's. I remember saying a good stadium's going to be in the Championship, and you were like, "Yeah, Ellen Road."
Yeah.
But no, I was meaning it's Tottenham or it's West Ham. That's what your
Well,
predictions were saying. It's more like
I think-
the bottom 2 are gone. It's Tottenham or it's
Yeah.
West Ham, and it became that shootout between the two.
I think West Ham might disagree whether it's a good stadium or not, because
Yeah,
that's a big talking point about West Ham. But
It's a posh
you can
stadium.
see
It's a posh stadium.
it's a posh
wasn't it?
stadium. Yeah, you
But
can see
Leeds
that
finished higher than you thought, though, right?
Yeah, so Leeds and Crystal Palace swapped around where they kind of, you would expect to be. Crystal Palace kind of underperformed their predictions. But
Well, they've been focusing on Europe, haven't they?
so it will have come down to just a couple of results in that thing. It would have been focused on Europe. Plus, they have petered out a little bit. I would say they have kind of.
Well, as I say, I think they've got their minds elsewhere. And you again, to be fair, there has been, I think, this season, and in your analysis, kind of that middle of we were saying, if Leeds can break into that pack, you've got quite a variance in terms of where you could finish up.
Well, you can see that big blob in the middle. Yeah, there was like
where there's lots.
5 or 6 or 7 games left at this stage for different teams. But you can see the uncertainty in that blob from like 6th down to 14th, essentially. Big uncertainty. And that's been reflected in the way they've finished. So, the model was not confident that Bournemouth would have such a strong finish. And, 1% chance of finishing where they did, and they did it. It's a fantastic finish. Contrast that actually with Palace, Glasner going, Areola going, both of them saying, I'm leaving, this is, I'm not carrying on. One team gave up for their manager, one team, really obviously did very well for their manager.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting to see Chelsea obviously.
I was going to say Chelsea.
Chelsea really petered out, and that's after managerial changes. That's the last few games, have been up and down with their interim bloke. Everton definitely kind of petered out as the year's gone on. I think I get the sense that is actually the way Everton have been. They've kind of just, I think it's the sort of play that got David Moyes out of a job at West Ham as well, is that kind of like lack of ambition in the way they play or something.
Well, no, David Moyes has been talking about Europe.
Well, they're not going in Europe now.
No, but
they were had a very strong chance of going into Europe. But yeah.
But they were talking about, maybe you're right, maybe that was an active decision. So it felt quite calculated in the David Moyes interviews, pre-match, post-match. It did seem deliberate talk about we're aiming for, we're not afraid to be saying, like, vocalising this, getting accountability on it, and, manifesting Europe. And so maybe that's what you're picking up on, that there was this kind of, let's not let anybody typecast me as this kind of, we're going to peter out. But I think, to be fair to Everton, they've got their new stadium, which, as you were just saying with West Ham, it can go either way. You get a new stadium and you can end up playing worse in it when you at start.
I think, though, the Hill Dickinson, that's what it's called, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Was designed for football, whereas the Olympic Stadium was designed for something else, as the name suggests. And having been there to watch baseball, it worked all right for baseball. But, all right for baseball. For football, I can imagine it's not great. But, so overall, top 5, bottom 5, all set. Leeds and Palace, not far off. 1 position off kind of their most likely positions. Newcastle is an interesting one in that actually they're the one team in the middle block that did finish kind of in their most likely spot. So they did kind of finish where you'd expect. Sunderland obviously had a, much better season, as we'll see, than people expected. But really did well.
This is so that the kind of, we were talking about this before, the past 2 or 3 seasons, all 3 promoted teams have been relegated.
Yeah.
This season, only one, it's Burnley.
Yeah.
But Sunderland, they were they're not. Did they end up in Europe? I can't.
Yes, so Sunderland are in Europe, yeah. So I've not marked on the European lines on there because it was so complicated in terms of who's where. Yes. It could be 11 teams
could be
going.
Different depending on.
It could have been 11 teams going. Yeah, because it was getting quite. Yeah.
So
a lot of different effects.
So that is amazing that they've gone from, and they weren't even. As I know well, they were they weren't top. They came through the playoffs. Yeah. They weren't top of that. They were something like. Oh, you're going to be putting a cross above my head, but they were 25 points behind Leeds or something. And everyone was going, these are certain to get relegated. But they had a massive squad overhaul, to be fair. It's not the same.
Well, say Sunderland, so what we're seeing in this data, actually, is those points that are a long way off the line are ones that have really outperformed their expectation in the last few games.
But it was only, it's not
so Sunderland have kicked on in the last few games. Yeah. Everton have really declined in those last finishing games. So it's really just that shift off the line. It's not necessarily whole season differences. Yeah,
that's true, because I think that my sense with Sunderland was they had a phenomenal start and then there was a dip and it was but it's fine because they've got enough in the bank that they could maybe regress back to the mean of what they were doing. But you're saying, no, actually, they did come back strong.
Yeah.
I think has Xhaka been injured and then come back?
Yeah, he came back. So, a turn up in form might have happened just before this as well. But as I say, this is all these percentages were done on the basis of fitting parameters to the previous part of the season, and then the expectation is they keep playing like that. So something like Spurs is tricky because obviously they had managerial changes at that point, but they kind of did play how expected and finished up in that position. I remember. So next year, because there's no W's, Forest will start the season, Nottingham Forest, in the relegation. They will finish, before there's any points, alphabetical order, they're 18th. N is 18th.
Wow.
Strange alphabet next year.
We're all about the alphabet of uncertainty.
Yeah. So these are my predictions, our predictions, using the Dixon CoU model.
The supercomputer.
So I wanted to
dusted off the supercomputer. I think that's so. I think that's very well.
We'll see.
Very good going. Okay.
Yeah, because I also took, speaking of supercomputer, took the Opta predictions. So these really are run with a supercomputer.
Yeah.
And probably with a lot more, information in there. And this is what they had.
Oh, it's very similar.
So this is from 25th of March, so it's a similar time. It's in the international break.
And we've got...
And it's kind of, actually, it's harder to see on this graph, but it is basically exactly the same.
Yeah.
We predicted, in terms of where they ended up.
They predicted
it's almost
Leeds
exactly the same. Top 5,
Palace
bottom 5.
Swapping, Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think it is actually exactly the same in terms of where we had the order. So this order is sorted on the left-hand side by the points at the time of fitting, which is what mine was as well.
Yes.
And it's basically exactly the same. The difference is in details of the percentages.
Yeah.
So they're very confident, 97%, 97.7% at this point. They're giving Arsenal to win. Yeah, and
they didn't have many lower than second.
But then they're off diagonal ones. They're less confident in, so they've got a lot of quite low percentage ones there as well. We'll have a look at a moment in terms of comparing those things.
Well, what I was going to say was, and I'll say it now because you deserve your moment in the sun. So that's, I think, for the case, I don't know if it's generally the case for the Premier League or just this year, but the middle was so variable. They had some really nice graphics on, when you're watching
in terms of where teams could finish.
Technically, if they win them all or lose them all, where could everybody finish? And there was these huge bands for that middle chunk. But like we said when you did your predictions in that episode, I mean, bizarrely, you started off the conversation with who's going to win, and then we moved on to the bit that everyone cares about:
who's going to finish,
what's going to happen to Leeds.
Oh, right.
But you've got the top 5 and you've got the bottom 5, right? So as Opta, and so like I say, actually,
it's surprising that the form is kind of it's set through the year.
Interesting.
That's why at that time, there was a feeling between West Ham and Spurs for relegation, but it was always kind of like can Spurs be that bad continually?
Yeah.
West Ham, we kind of felt that was their natural position. That was how they played through the year. So,
Well, not as a Leeds fan. I was.
Yeah.
You
As a
never
Leeds-
know.
yeah, well,
you never know. Like, yeah.
Whenever you're worried about relegation as a
Yeah.
fan, you're always kind of certain that somehow your team will manage to do it.
But it was. I remember listening to a discussion, again, pundits, and they were saying quite late on, like close to when you were doing the prediction, are Spurs in the relegation discussion?
Yeah.
And they were lower than Leeds at that point, I think. And it's just because Leeds were the promoted team and Spurs were Spurs that people weren't thinking of them as a like you say. I think it just wasn't in people's heads.
They can look forward to next season and plan ahead.
See what happens.
But, yeah. So Opta, one thing they do that I couldn't do with my approach, and that's very brave, is they also put out pre-season predictions. Obviously, so these are, I've not marked up the final finishing positions on these, but you can see what they're saying is Liverpool were definitely going to finish first.
Oh, wow.
And relegated teams is the one I like. Burnley, Leeds, Sunderland is who's going to get relegated, they're saying.
So they're promoted teams.
The promoted teams, they're,
Oh, they had
hedging
Burnley
on the
above
bets.
us? In what world?
They had Sunderland, 34% Sunderland to be relegated. And they're actually going to Europe.
Crystal Palace.
I think in terms of outperforming your expectations, that is incredible.
Oh, look where they've got Man U.
Chelsea fourth, they should probably be a bit disappointed.
Yes.
Newcastle should probably be a bit disappointed.
Ooh,
Palace certainly as well, but it's incredible. So Forest as well, although everybody knows this about Forest, that they didn't do as well as expected, as they should have expected. United probably should be pleased, and maybe Amorim actually should deserve some of the credit for that because they weren't that bad under him, as we saw from the other episode we did on using predictions.
Oh, I don't know why they've got quite. No, actually, they've got it quite close between Liverpool.
Oh yeah, so top of the title,
Arsenal.
yeah. They're very wrong, but
Man City.
I mean, because it's last season. Start of the season, so all they can do is go off last season, essentially.
Yeah, but I would, your Dixon Cole's method, it's taking into account previous results and it's down-weighting things in the past. And my argument would have been, so I think your pre-season predictions might have looked different because I felt the wheels were coming off last season for Liverpool.
Yeah.
They won the title and then they just lost everything.
I would, obviously hindsight is 2020, but I would not have gone into this season saying Liverpool are certain to win.
No, I wouldn't. Well, they've not said that they're certain to win.
You could see the cracks were appearing, and they were kind of like last season. As you mentioned, I think in that episode, or at some point, it was more like everybody else lost the title in some ways last year.
Yeah.
Liverpool were not super dominant. They were good, but not like, it wasn't one of those seasons where you only, it's just like 2 or 3 losses that made the difference.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's
wonder what they used to.
Yeah, so that's very brave of them to actually put out pre-season predictions. People are not going to hold them to account, but we want to do. This is the maths podcast, so I'm going to do some maths, and I'm actually going to have an equation in this.
Excellent.
So what I did to calculate how accurate, or one of the metrics you would use to calculate how accurate these sort of predictions are, is the Breyer score.
Yep.
So this is a way of so I've got the equation on screen. We have the probability you give something a prediction. That's going to be the f of t. The outcome,
O
of t, is whether it happened or not.
Yes.
So that's like 1 or 0, whether that happened or not.
Yep.
How well you predicted it is going to match. So if you gave a 0 to a 0 to something that was a 0, then that's going to add nothing to it. If you did a 1 to a 1, that's going to add nothing to it. So a perfect score for Breyer's score is 0. You divide by n, so n is the number of predictions total.
Yep.
So that's going to play a bit of a role in this.
On average, how far out you were.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're squaring it, so it doesn't matter if I'm over or
Over
under.
Or under. Yeah.
It'll it's just how far away are you? It's any direction.
Yep.
So it's just the average distance away.
Yeah. So we take all of those frequencies from the model, turn them into or rather than percentages, use fractions instead. So just divided by 100, and then take away the outcome, that's the league position. So if you said Arsenal was 97.7%, you're not going to get much of a contribution to your Breyer score from that value because you're pretty close. So I wanted to calculate this for all of them for all of those 3 sets of predictions, just to give us some values.
So, sorry, in this sense...
So we're aiming for 0.
And you've got... We've just been looking at the big...
Matrix,
the matrix, the table of predictions. So you've done... so Arsenal were at the top.
Yep.
So you gave them whatever we've just seen that Opta gave them 28% or whatever.
Yeah, so Opta was saying 97% in their mid-season predictions or international break predictions, 97.7% to finish first.
Yes.
So that one would be 97.7 minus 1 squared.
So we're just looking on
everything else is going to be like something 3.2 or whatever minus 0. So those will be contribution, and then all the ones further along will be zeros adding to it, because you're saying it's a 0% chance of it finishing there.
Yeah.
And didn't finish 16th.
So it's you're looking at how far away you were across that whole matrix, not just on the diagonal.
Not just on the diagonal.
Happened.
Yeah. So I looked across the whole matrix.
Right.
Because
so your
we've got
best
so many
score
off
would be
diagonals.
if you'd got ones on the diagonal, that'd give you a 0.
Yeah.
Right, got you.
Yeah. So the reason that's a good point though, because that lowers expected range of these.
Yeah.
So definitely. Yeah, if you looked along the diagonal, then it would be different. But then we'd get a lot of things we got wrong as well as right. So it would have adjusted the range.
No, this is the way to do it. That's what we were trying to do. You've been predicting the probability for every team that they land in every position, and then you're looking at how far away you were.
So both things would give the same idea, like just going along the diagonal or the whole grid, but they give different ranges of the values. So that kind of explains actually something we want to get to. So the Opta season starting predictions, so that's their grid that was massively
and 0's
full.
The best. So low is
Zero's
good.
The best. Yeah, so low is good. But you saw how wrong they were. They said Liverpool were top. They said Sunderland were bottom. So this is a good point about what you were raising, is that because there are so many predictions, you're never that far off, because your average comes down because of the slasher.
All those zeros that you've got. Yeah.
All the zeros really help out.
Oh, and then you're dividing by the number of cells in the matrix.
You've got 400 predictions.
Yes.
So 400 predictions. So you're dividing by each of the cells in the matrix. So 0.046 seems very low. And when I saw the score I calculated on mine, I was like, wow, that's great, because I knew the range was 0 and 1. But in this case, in 1, you'd have to say that 100% things, and you'd have to get every one of them wrong. And it would be quite hard to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's Opta's season start predictions. Opta's March 25th predictions. So 0.0327.
So they've got better.
Or 0.0328, actually, with a bit of rounding. My predictions, drum roll, don't know drum roll, I'm breaking mics, but were 0.0328. So only my predictions were 1% of the difference between their season start and their March predictions of their March predictions. So my predictions, and the thing that I find that's not impressive, but the thing I quite like about this is that I'm so close, and all I did was do like 1 day's worth of code.
To be fair, to be clear, we were joking about the supercomputer. You did it on your laptop.
Yeah, we did it on my laptop. As I say,
it's freely available software.
Goal model is the package in R, and runs in about 30 seconds, and that does pretty good job compared to Opta's computer, which is probably running on a lot more data set. I would bet they've just asked AI something to do it now or something.
Wow.
Well, maybe not. I don't think they would. But
oh well, as I said, so I did give you your
I'm just impressed that a simple model does that well.
And it's
in
done,
fact.
it has
So
done. But like I say,
anything.
it did do well when we were just looking at it objectively. Yep. You got the top 5 right, you got the bottom 5 right, in the middle you went that. And
partly, you'd expect it to get worse the further back in the season you go. I'd get closer to that season start one, but it worked pretty well, and it's just quite a simple model. Right. So that's the overall predictions. I would say what I also wanted to look at is from that model. So I used the model to look over all of the data. So like looking backwards in the data. So I fitted the model at that point, made predictions for the rest of the season.
Yes.
Now we have the whole of the season data.
Yes.
I can fit the model to see what the parameters are to get data from the season. So that model, to rewind, works by just 2 parameters for each team: attacking strength, defensive strength. And sometimes it's like expected goals depending on how you use the model, but attacking strength, defensive strength. So we get those values, and those are single parameters for each, or 2 parameters for each team that kind of summarize their season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we have here on the scatter graph, is the attacking and defensive strengths of those teams across the season.
Yeah. So this is you've used the full season to estimate these parameters. Okay.
Yep.
So
this is kind of like, this is a season review, effectively, in the Dixon-Coles model.
Yep. In both cases is a bigger number, a better number. So it's like defensive strength,
it's
not
strength,
frailty,
not expected goals. Yeah. So, well, you could guess. Given that Wolves and Burnley are in the bottom left in defence, Arsenal's right at the top, I think you can guess that bigger numbers are better. So you can see, just as an idea, Nottingham Forest are kind of a very average team. Leeds are around there too.
Yeah.
But Man City are very good at attacking, best attacking team, not quite as good at defence as Arsenal. And isn't that the story of the season, essentially?
Yeah.
And then Man United finishing quite strong, got that attacking strength up. And
Oh, your Man U fans would be happy with that, actually, to be in that zone, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's well. I mean, they could finish third, so you kind of see that result.
So that's saying best attack in the league, Man City. Best defence in the league, Arsenal. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of makes sense.
Probably fair.
And
But that's actually slightly. I mean, there's been a few headlines of saying, are Arsenal like the most boring winners ever, and the style of football that they've done. And they did feel, as the fan, like there were a lot of 1-0s.
Yeah,
but then that's
maybe
that's 1-0. You get an attack and you're getting nothing on your defence. So defence, okay.
Yes, I mean the clean sheets win leagues. That's what they say. So that's
defensive championships.
Yeah. So this kind of gives an idea of the reflections across the year. What I also wanted to look at was kind of like individual results. So using that model, and then characterizing individual results. So because the Dixon-Coles gives you scores, as well as results, so as well as outcomes, you can get just the score.
Yep.
So the most...
Yeah, as I say, if you want to see, you did describe all this beautifully in the other video, so do watch that one.
Yeah, the most probable score to happen across the whole year. So this is scores individually, picking out the number of goals as well.
Yeah.
The most likely result to happen was Crystal Palace Leeds at Selhurst Park, 0-0. So that was the most likely result across the whole season, 20% chance based on their season form.
So when you're looking in that two-way table, that would be like all the goals that Leeds could score, all the goals that Crystal Palace would score, you can look in the box and see what a 0-0 or 1-0. The biggest number in any of those tables for any game in the season was involved Leeds,
and it was
0-0.
So a 20% chance of that being a 0-0.
Okay.
That's the actual result as well, obviously. That's the result that happened, not just... Obviously, there's other things that are more likely across the year, but the most likely result that actually happened was 0-0.
Okay.
The least likely result that happened...
So the most shocking.
The most shocking result, to scores as well, was probably one that people would pick out if they were, had a great memory of the season, and that was Man U Bournemouth.
I was going to say.
4-4.
Yeah.
That was definitely the one.
Game.
That was a 0.06% chance of happening, which I worked out is like 1 in 1,600. Whereas 1 in 5 for the Leeds 0-0.
Yeah.
1 in 1,600 chance of Man U Bournemouth 4-4. It was a very exciting game, and it was kind of a bonkers game. It was an Amorim game, and it was one of those that kind of people used to characterise his... Yeah, I seem to remember pictures of him like looking very depressed in that game, although that could be any of his games.
Yeah.
So that's the scores, but obviously the scores are unique. So to get an easier idea of what the outcome would, you want to pool all the scores. So if you remember that table we're talking about with the outcomes, anything on the diagonal was a draw.
Yep.
Above is one team winning, below is the other team winning. So I added up all of those to get an idea of outcomes as opposed to results.
Yep.
So the most likely
score lines. Yeah.
So in the 4-4 game, Man U Bournemouth.
Yes.
Once you added up all of the draws,
it
was a 31% chance of it being a draw. So that gives you an idea of the difference. It was a 1 in 1,600 chance of 4-4, but actually it was quite likely to be a draw. It's about 1 in 3 chance of it being the game. So using this, you can see rather than saying what's the most likely scoreline, like Leeds Palace, or what's the game that most went to form.
Okay.
This one, I think you could probably predict easily enough. It's
it's going to be a big team playing a low team and winning.
Yeah.
But a predictably low team, not Sunderland.
Yeah, so predictably low team and a predictably high-scoring team, I would say.
So it's probably involving Man City.
Yep.
And Burnley?
No, so Man City Wolves.
I was going to say Wolves, and then I thought they might not have been expected.
So,
but again, it was done on the actual results, wasn't it? So I should have said Wolves.
No, so this is on the score and the outcomes, not the results.
Yes,
but yeah, so Man City.
No, I should have said
Wolves. Man City 2-0 Wolves from January. 77% chance of Man City winning, and they won it. That's the game linked, most true to form.
Yeah, this is linked to your favourite when we talk about uncertainty of outcome.
Yeah, that's the least
competitive balance.
And I would imagine that would have the least. Not many Wolves fans were going very optimistic for that game.
But you don't see. So we will talk about this, I think, on another episode. You don't see that's the point of the Premier League. You don't see such high probabilities for a certain team winning. It is closer to that 1 in 3, 33%, and that's why they say it's the most exciting league, and anyone can beat anyone.
From what we've seen, though, like the model does kind of rate Man City, and I think that's because they had so many high-scoring games as well. So many high-scoring shutouts because they run up the score sometimes against weaker teams that makes them look very good in terms of model.
Yeah.
It's one of the limitations of, summing up a team with just 2 numbers. Mm-hmm. So the biggest kind of, the reverse of that, so the least probable outcome that happened. Yeah, I don't think you'll be able to guess this.
Well, but it's going to be when a low
it's kind of the most kind of like out of character result.
No, it's not.
I don't think you'll get it because it's from all the way back in August.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm not.
So it's Man City Spurs. Because Spurs won 2-0. They won 2-0 away.
Yeah.
So that result.
Give me a chance, Rich.
Sorry. That was like a 7% chance, 7 or 8% chance of Spurs winning, and they did.
Yeah.
And that was away at Man City.
Let him
definitely
hang on for a while, that result. That's why I think it could have been gettable, because it's like, he did beat Man City
so
away.
that's the result you could call the biggest performance.
Yeah.
Spurs definitely. That result did not characterise the rest of the season at all.
No.
Or Man City too. So my clickbait title was Man City. Well, it won't be, but Man City the biggest bottlers in this case.
So as I say, when they were playing Arsenal, they were like bottles of water with Arsenal on, in their bottlers. And so you're saying,
but had they already? And the other thing is that the most important result of the season? Because Spurs obviously just avoided relegation. If Man City had been going in with 3 more points to those last few days, I mean, they might have tried a bit harder against Villa, and they might, well, it was a bit of it was a last season game where the title was done.
So the Villa one was a strange one. So I think certainly if they'd have been,
if it's still been close at that stage, and there would have been loads of previous games where the same thing would have been true. They would have had 3 points closer.
Right. So actually, that result in August, 23rd of August, the season was over.
Yep.
So we'll look out this year. We'll look out this year for
so statistically,
surprising
it's
result
the biggest,
in August. Actually,
most surprising result. Right. So that is our extensive stats-based review of the season, or probability-based, for the Corridor of Uncertainty. So we will CoU later.